Tonight in this edition of the news, we take you to Yaoundé, where a devastated mother cries over her missing child. She was chased from the police hospital where her newborn baby disappeared. That was a few days ago. And also in this newscast, Gabon, for the second time in history, given the hosting honor of the 2017 African Cup of Nations. Cameroon would face Mauritania, Gambia and South Africa to qualify for the competition. These are headlines. Details in a moment. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to join us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television. For over 1 week now, a newborn baby who disappeared from a clinic in the nation's capital has not been found. Orders given by the Delegate General for the National Security for the child to be found within 48 hours have yielded no fruits. Now, disappointed victims, especially the mother of the baby herself and the father, have started speaking out. The mother of the missing baby in Yaoundé is deeply devastated and grieving over the lost child. She was chased from the police clinic where the child disappeared and ferried to Aswa residence by police. Roland Akon completes that story.
Je suis entièrement triste, éprouvé, abattu par la disparition de mon bébé.
10 days after putting to birth, Judith Joala is back home in her Kofulu residence in Yaoundé without her newly born baby. Her newly born baby reportedly disappeared at the Yaoundé police clinic shortly after birth.
J'ai accouché le dimanche à 10h45 et autour de 18h20, 18h30, on a volé mon bébé.
Judith Joala is saddened and she's grieving over the disappearance of her newly born baby. She says she feels like a part of her is missing.
C'est comme si une partie de moi n'est plus, parce que j'attendais vraiment cet enfant avec beaucoup de joie. Aujourd'hui, je ne sais pas où j'en suis.
Judith Joala says she was forced out of the police clinic and escorted home by police officers Tuesday night. These as hopes of finding her missing baby kept diminishing.
On m'a demandé de sortir. Quand je m'apprêtais à sortir même, on est venu avec violence. On me fait sortir de la chambre.
Critics consider as inefficient and inadequate the police response on the matter, especially as 48 hours deadline. Bangangele, the Delegate General for National Security, gave hospital staff of the police clinic to find the missing baby, yielded no fruit.
Dès le départ, je crois avoir frappé à la bonne porte.
Judith Joala and her husband Vincent Kamgang are begging state authorities to help them find their newly born missing baby.
Je suis sûr que le président de la République, la première dame, n'accepteront pas qu'une telle injustice soit commise.
While waiting in torment and in pain, observers find it hard to believe that a newly born baby disappears in a police clinic a few hours after birth. A police clinic situated inside a police school with a police station, where safety and security should be guaranteed.
Nous sommes presque à 10 jours après. Rien n'est fait. Je suis désolé, je suis déçu comme vous le constatez.
This is not the first time a newly born baby is reportedly missing in Cameroon. It is becoming a rising phenomenon and no meaningful response yet from the government.
Roland Akon there reporting on the disappearance of a newborn baby in the nation's capital. We'll keep you updated as soon as we are informed. Now the remains of a 16-year-old student have been retrieved from the river in the Boadibo village, that's in the Mongo division of Cameroon. The 16-year-old was reportedly carried away by water currents as he went swimming with his friends. Jacques Ekwekinge has the details.
It was an atmosphere of total constellation by the banks of the river at the Boadibo village of the Mongo division Tuesday evening after the lifeless body of 16-year-old Ndor Zelo Glenn was fished out of the river at about 6 p.m. The Form 4 student of GBHS Bekoko is reported to have visited the river on Monday with his friends, and in the course of taking his bath, He was gradually being pulled by the water currents, which carried him away, with his friends standing and watching helpless. Informed of the situation, the villagers immediately mobilized and began to search for the missing boy. It was only after 24 hours that the body of Glenn was finally discovered Tuesday evening, amidst cries and bewilderment from the numerous families, friends and onlookers who had gathered by the banks of the river. After the macabre discovery, the elements of the gendarmerie were being alerted for official formalities before the corpse was being transported to a morgue.
And what could have caused the fire disaster which ravaged scores of offices at the Douala City Council? That was Monday. Security forces are still seeking answers after thorough investigations launched by gendarmerie as well as police officials. The incident started from the first floor of the building and rapidly spread into other offices. The governor of the region said that over 40% of the building perished into the flames and that 150 workers are now without an office. Frickson on his part told the population not to panic as most data and documents have been entered into the machines. Meantime, outdoor reception offices have been mounted at the premises of the Douala City Council to give directives to users. Some workers have resumed to work while others are still without offices, as I earlier indicated. The affected site is still inaccessible as we speak. Ngodi firefighters were today struggling to reduce the amount of water in the building. However, the building is still a risky zone with fears of an eventual collapse of a portion of the said building. Now, fire disaster prevention experts have said that the installation of fire detective instruments is primordial in public buildings in the country. They hold that this method could easily alert users in case of any fire disaster. And for Hansen Chanji now tells us in the following report that most public offices in the country do not even have fire extinguishers. His report.
Most public buildings in Cameroon do not have security measures to combat fire outbreaks when need arises, and some fire extinguishers found in some buildings are outdated. This makes it difficult to contain any fire outbreak in public offices. A fire disaster prevention expert, Kikoe Jacob, holds that administrative officials are aware of the best methods to use, but are reluctant.
Nous faisons un constat regrettable.
It is regrettable that despite the numerous fire incidents in markets and public structures, the government has never taken any concrete measures to prevent future fire outbreaks. We have met on several occasions with them to propose measures, but they've never taken us serious.
Les différents systèmes, même les systèmes palliatifs.
The Cameroonian government has always been reactive during fire outbreaks. They have never been proactive. Our fire disaster expert says there are many ways to detect fire outbreak and easily prevent its extension to the rest of the building.
Nous avons par exemple ce système de détection.
There are many systems like the smoke detectors which can easily alert any fire outbreak to users. We have the automatic sprinklers, we have fire extinguishers. It is really something to lament that these things are available, but public administrators are reticent. They are reluctant to use them. A building like that of the Douala City Council, which was visited by fire Monday night, is supposed to have as many automatic sprinklers as possible, no matter the cause. Kikoe Jacob says officials should never flee from the cost of materials, but should reflect on what they stand to lose when the fire outbreak occurs.
Maintenant, quand vous faites le bilan que vous avez eu l'incendie chez vous,
they are costly, but people have to know that they stand to lose a lot. Instead of spending 15 to 20 million to purchase extinguishers, sprinklers, and install in their houses, they prefer losing hundreds of millions of francs CFA when fire outbreak occurs.
And how to avoid far-reaching consequences in the wake of every fire outbreak. We shall be talking about that in the second part of this newscast. Now, out of Cameroon, half of all flights going to and from Europe have been cancelled after French air traffic controllers went on strike. They want their working conditions improved, and we have more with the Dutch Velen TV.
And hoping. These passengers at Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport are stranded. 40% of domestic and medium-haul flights were cancelled here today because of the air traffic controller strike.
I'm just arrived from New York, and my flight is not operated anymore, and so I had to leave just now, but I have to wait up till tonight.
My flight was cancelled. I received a text message on my phone. I'm going to fly on to Lyon, and then we'll see.
The strike is scheduled to last through tomorrow, and more strikes are planned for the coming weeks, timed to coincide with school vacations and public holidays. The Traffic Controllers Union is fighting a plan to raise the retirement age from 57 to 59. It's affected other airlines as well, with low-cost carriers like Ryanair and EasyJet cancelling well over 100 flights across Europe.
And as we announced in the headlines, the Confederation of African Football has been selected, or has selected Gabon to host the 2017 African Cup of Nations. CAF President Issa Hayatou made the announcement this Wednesday in Cairo, Egypt. Gabon beat Ghana and Algeria to be given the hosting honor of the competition, and it should be noted that the oil-rich country is replacing Libya, who withdrew last year to host because of civil war that is so far plaguing the country. This will be the second time that the country would stage the finals after co-hosting the competition in 2012 alongside Equatorial Guinea. CAF had already designated Cameroon to host the competition, that is for the 2019 competition, Ivory Coast in 2021 and Guinea in 2023. Meantime, Cameroon will play the qualifying phase of the competition that is going to be against Mauritania, Gambia and the Republic of South Africa. The draw was made today. Cameroon is in Group M. And current CAF president would now be able to stand for another term in 2017 after the Confederation voted to remove age limits on its officials. The mandate of 68-year-old Issa Hayatou was to end in 2017, but the change of status may permit him to stand to 2021. Veronica Aji has the details.
Cairo, Egypt. 54 member countries voted unanimously to change the statutes which previously presented officials serving past the age of 70 in the Confederation of African Football, CAF. They hold that CAF should bring its rules in line with those of World Soccer's governing body, FIFA, which does not have age limits. The decision paves the way for CAF President Issa Hayatou to seek for another mandate. The CAF head has an open way to post his candidacy in 2017, the year his current mandate is to end. This is not the first time CAF constitution has been altered. In 2012 in Gabon, a sitting extended the tenure of Hayatou from 2013 to 2017. Issa Hayatou at 68 is seeking 4 more years until at least 2021. Fifth president of CAF for over 2 decades since March 10, 1988, Issa Hayatou is the longest-serving senior member in FIFA structures. Hayatou has overseen successful FIFA World Cup appearances by Senegal, Nigeria and Cameroon. He equally presided over both the bid and the organizing committee for the 2010 Games, first in Africa. The Cameroon former athlete and sports executive graduated from Director of Sports of Cameroon to President of the Cameroon Football Association Executive Committee. He is equally a member of the FIFA Executive Committee, member of the International Olympic Committee and Vice President of FIFA. His critics, however, hold that removing the age limit is undemocratic and does not speak well of an institution respected in the African continent.
A report there by Veronica Aji, bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next, Talking Point. damages incurred in the wake of fire incidents witnessed in the country have always been immeasurable, yet safety measures are still far-fetched. Security construction norms are simply not being respected in several buildings in Cameroon, especially public as well as commercial buildings. We have incidents in markets that are occurring on daily basis. Now, in the wake of the fire incident which took place at the Douala City Council, we shall be having as guest tonight a safety expert, Mr. Eric Fortmia-Fomantom. We thank you so much for being part of us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Just to find out from you, in the wake of the fire disaster which took place at the Douala City Council late Monday, looking at the devastated consequences that it had, several offices set ablaze or completely reduced to ashes. What are some of the major causes of accidents in Cameroon? It should be noted that it came barely few days after the one which took place at the Douala Central Market.
Yes, it's quite a sad event to know that as Cameroon is trying to emerge in 2035, most of our infrastructures have been reduced down to zero. We cannot count the number of times markets have been burnt in Cameroon. And like you said, rightly said, just 2 days ago, the central market got burnt down. And what's amazing is that this market is being controlled by the Douala City Council itself. And this is not the first time the market is burning down.
It's not the
only market, but this market has burnt down. And it's like, I see like some sort of lesson to the Douala City Council that if you are not taking care of the market which is burning down, the fire is going to come to you, so that you can think well the importance of preventive measures in fire. Coming back to the causes of this incident, most fire, it has not been determined the true cause of the incident, because why it took place back in the night. But if we look at common causes of such fire in office buildings as well as in other places, we can consider a series of probable causes. For example, one of the main cause of fire in most buildings, it's electricity. The electricity, which can be from short circuit or from faulty electrical equipment. And also, when electrical wiring in structures are not done according to standard and according to the norms, for example, they can heat up and cause fire. One of the things that can also cause electricity to cause fire in the building is as a result of power surge. So in order to prevent these particular aspects, with the equipment, your installation must be checked, must be robust enough to control fire checks, power surges. So power surges are some of the causes of electrical fires we have we've been having of recent. Another reason which could be advanced for the fire is arson or deliberate ignition, which can be done by maybe some people who are not happy about the services, or they may want to conceal some information and stuff like that, and may deliberately put fire into buildings. So we've seen that in several cases as well. One little cause which could be thing which could be a common cause of fire also in structure is smoking. See, smokers, if you are in a building and where people can smoke and where there's no dedicated place to smoking, and you have smokers who smoke and dumped their cigarette stump in places, gradually can generate to fire. And usually that occurs when people have already left the area. And so you see the type of fire that occurred around 11 p.m. in the night. It's difficult to actually determine what was the cause of the fire, because we can presume that at such moment there was nobody in that building at that time. So it is very difficult to determine the cause of fire. Now, what I've just cited are some of the causes of fires in such a place. But I think with the investigation team that has been set up, we are pretty sure that they can come out with some good reason as to why such fire occurred. Maybe looking from incidents that had happened before, some past incidents or past events, or report from people about how the building was structured, about the cabling or the wiring or electricity issues in the building.
The building itself, the incident that occurred on Monday has raised the problem of security construction norms that are not being respected, especially here in the economic capital Douala. What could be your assessment when you look at a building like the structure hosting the Douala City Council that the governor himself admitted that is close to 60 euros now what could be your assessment of the building itself?
Yeah, I think the building in all its form did not respect any safety norms in terms of construction, because there are safety regulations, there are fire regulations in terms of construction, which the city council itself, it's the one who is supposed to implement this when they give permit to build, because the city council that gives you the authorization to construct, that we'll call that the permit de bâtir. So they are the one to enforce that within your plan that you've put forth for appraisal, that there are all measures put in place to prevent fire. And not only to prevent fire, but to also prevent the spread of fire, because there are two things. You want to prevent fire, that fire shouldn't start at all. And when fire starts, fire shouldn't spread to any places, to all places. And even when the fire spread to other areas, you should be able, there should be means for people to fight fire. In all public buildings, this should be installed. This should be a system. This should be the concept. And if they are authorized to issue permits to construct, they must make sure that all these norms are respected. And know that
some of these safety measures to consider when setting up a building.
Okay, there are measures at 3 different levels. Like I said, there are measures to prevent fire from occurring, which means that even the people that are working in the building, all of them should be trained on the importance of how to prevent fire, how to keep fire away, because there are 3 elements that constitute fire. You need to keep all the 3 elements separate so that they should not fire. So everybody working in such a building must be able to be trained on how to prevent fire. Now you come now to the measures, preventive measures. When fire occurs, what do you do, or how do you get alerted that there is fire? And what are the measures? You have equipments, they call that firefighting equipments, like fire alarms, which will tell you there is a fire somewhere and you need to act. The fire alarms are both manual, they are manually activated. They are the ones that are manually activated and the ones that are automatically activated. The ones that are manually activated, somebody needs to manually activate them, or when the alarm sounds, somebody needs to actually go and activate the system. The automatic one will detect. The automatic one will detect fire and even start fighting the fire itself. The automatic firefighting systems that will even start fighting the fire. It will detect fire, it will raise the alarm, and it will even start fighting the fire. I take, for example, like in the server room where the computer equipments are put, there are special firefighting equipments. When there is a fire, it triggers, when the alarm is triggered, it goes in to trigger the firefighting equipment system in the critical equipment rooms to start fighting the fire. So there are alert systems, there are systems to fight fire, there are systems to alert the people that, look, there is fire here, you need to go out.
Rare to see all of these things in houses.
No, you have
as well as public buildings in Cameroon. What is making it difficult, therefore, for officials? Because we equally saw an expert there admitting that the government officials, the government is aware of some of these preventive measures, but is hardly taking them into consideration. What is making it difficult for them to respect some of these norms, these measures to avoid disaster?
The first, I wouldn't want to say it is ignorance, because if it was issue of ignorance, with the lots of fire that we've had in Cameroon, it should have raised their awareness. The second, I think it's just thinking that it happened to other people, it can't happen to us. And that fire can only happen to the markets. And that fire can only happen to the markets, it can't happen to the city council. It's just
negligence.
Negligence, because there's no reason why, even for all buildings, firefighting systems can be
put. Is it expensive? Could it be?
Well, it is not expensive. You cannot compare. If you want to compare the cost of putting in safety measures in place or safety systems in place, you compare that with the cost of an accident. Like the guy who just made the appraisal said, it will cost about maybe 20 million francs CFA to put in firefighting systems in the city council or more. But what are they losing now? They're losing a lot of hundreds of millions. And even some of those costs, I can say they have lost more than $1 billion there, because there are costs that you can calculate and there are costs that you cannot calculate. For example, the building plans and building permits of people that were supposed to execute their project within this period, they can't do that. And you can't quantify and you can't cost that. So there are a lot of costs that goes into an accident that cannot be quantified. So the best thing is preventive measures, to put preventive measures in place.
Now, most buildings are already constructed, because most of these, we take them into consideration, like the connection of cables and ensuring that they respect the norms in place. Most of the buildings that are already existing, could anything be done at this point?
Yes, there are so many things that can be done. if you constructed your building and you have not put fire alert systems, for example, like the smoke detector and the smoke detector and the fire detector around there, you can still install that at any moment. Now, if your building don't have fire extinguishers, you can still put them. What may be difficult, but which can still be done, is fire hydrant, because the fire extinguisher, the smoke detector, will only inform you that there is fire. The fire extinguisher, it's only used for small fire or beginning fire, when the fire is still small. Now, the fire hydrant, which is the firefighting hose, which should be installed by principle, because if you don't have that in your building plan, they shouldn't even give you a building permit, can still be done. Or an external system can still be put in place. So for companies that have their structures that are there, that are in place, they can still have a water well with a water tank and an external water pump, which in case of fire, the fire water pump they can use water from the water tank powered by the fire water pump to be able to stop the building, to be able to stop the fire. And that's exactly what happened that's exactly what did not happen in the municipal council, because in the city council, because what happened is that the fire fighting brigade will come, all right. They will take about 3 minutes, 10 minutes, depends on the traffic. They will come. But what happened? They need to empty for them to empty their tank using the system they have. It takes them 5 to 10 minutes to empty one vehicle. So if the fire is not out, what happened? They have to go back to their base to carry water. And within that period, it takes about 30 minutes for them to leave Bonanjo to go to the base to carry water and bring back.
Consequences.
So what happened within that period? The fire continues. So in most developed countries, what the city council, because I'm very particular because it's the responsibility of the city council, what they do is that they have a fire water system that runs around the town. When the firefighting brigade comes to fight fire, what they do is that they use the fire fighting system which is in place, the hydrant which is in place, the water point which is in place to fight the fire. In the absence of that, even if you take, in a big fire, even if you take 5 fire fighting vehicles, they come and they empty their water, they have to go back, and when they're going back, the fire is heating back. All the places that were cold are heated up and they start more fire. That's the reason why it has been very difficult for the firefighting brigade to actually effectively put off fire.
Thank you so much, Mr. Votmia Eric Fumantum, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
You're welcome.
Our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the news. Wishing you a blessed day in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.